Hi everyone, it's Lynn here from Pink Whisper Designs. Going to be showing you how to make a cute little gift card holder for Christmas. And I'm going to get started using the 110-pound cardstock. It's white cardstock. And I'm going to be cutting it 3 inches by 11 inches. And we're going to be using the Scallop Treat Box Winter House add-on from Lawn Fawn to do this project, as well as the simple gift card slots. And you'll see in a minute how we're going to put that all together. So we're going to score this at 1 inch and 6.5 inches. And that's going to form the card portion of the gift card holder. I'm just going to fold those over and score those. You'll see that that creates a little flap at the top. Next, we're going to use the Knock on Wood Lawn Fawn Petite paper pack, and we're going to use the wood grain. You decide which one you like. I chose the smaller pattern in the lighter brown. We're going to cover the front of the card panel. So we need a piece that's 3 inches by 4.5 inches. And that's going to cover that entire front area. And then we're going to do a panel that's going to fit the inside portion of the card, which is going to be 3 inches by 5.5 inches. And that will completely cover the inside portion as well. Alright, so that you'll see how that looks when it's put together. But I thought it looked a little too plain, so I'm going to take some Vintage Photo Distress Oxide inks, and I'm just going to go around the edges a little bit, just to kind of take that white edge away and give it a nice soft background. It also forms a little bit of a focal point as well. I'm going to do that for both pieces. And in advance, I'll apologize if this video is a little bit long, but it is a project, so it's takes a little bit longer to explain all the steps. So now that's going to fit nicely in there in the card. I'm going to go ahead and attach those two with my Nuvo adhesive, which I do love. It goes on easily. It doesn't clog. I never have to try to fuss with getting it unclogged or anything. It seems to come out perfectly every time, and it's a nice strong bond. So I do like that adhesive. I'm going to have to get some more actually. So I'm going to go ahead now and put the front piece on. Same way. Just make sure you put enough adhesive in the middle part of it, because this is going to be getting opened and closed quite a bit and handled a lot. So I just made sure I put enough on. And I did use glue so that I could kind of readjust the paper if I needed to. Sometimes with tape, once you put it down, you don't have a second shot at it. That little white edge at the top I thought needed a little touch of the ink, so I just sponged a little bit more of that ink on top there to cover the white portion. Now for the base, I'm going to use the Simple Gift Card Slots by Lawn Fawn. I'm going to use this curved one. The other one is more like a slat, and this is like a curve, like a half circle. So I'm going to place that on the inside of the gift card holder, and I want to make sure that it's down towards the bottom, because I'm going to have a saying up there towards the top. So I'm just going to get that in place, and then I'm going to run that through the die cutting machine. And you are cutting through a couple of pieces of cardstock, so you can run it through, once or twice just to make sure you get a nice cut on that. I'm going to remove the die, and you'll see that it creates these nice two little notches to place the gift card in. And now that fits nicely in there. So the next thing I want to do is create the snowy border that's going to be at the bottom of the gift card holder. So I'm going to cut a piece of paper 3 inches, And I'm going to use the Stitch Hillside borders from Lawn Fawn. And I just need to create, 3 or 4, however many you want, little snow banks in front of the house. So I'm going to lay the hillside borders right along that piece of paper, and then I'm just going to put them in my cutter and cut them so they're flat on the bottom, so I have a nice flat edge at the bottom. And then I'm just going to see how those stack up. I want them at different heights, and I'm just going to see how those look on the card and fuss around with that a little bit. Now I'm going to use the Scallop Treat Box Winter House add-on. And I'm not going to use it on the box, obviously. We're going to use it on the gift card, and I'm using the red paper from the Lawn Fawn collection, and I'm also going to use the green in the smaller patterns. It looks like a knit, almost like a knit pattern, and this will save me having to color the roof and color the trees and color the wreath. So everything, I'm going to cut the trees and wreath out of the green and the roof out of the red, and then just some white to do my windows and door. You'll need to cut 3 sets of the windows, obviously 1 set of the door, and then you'll need 4 of the bows out of the red, and I cut multiples of the trees just to see what I was going to need. So 3 or 4 will be fine, whatever you decide. I'm going to run those through my die cutting machine. And now I've got all my little pieces. Those little tiny bows are hard to get a hold of, but they're so cute. So now I've got all the pieces that I need. And you want to make sure you have a front a window and a backing. I'm going to use the Fired Brick Distress Ink to go around the edges of the rooftop. Again, taking away some of that white edge and just giving it a little bit of shadow along the roof line. And you can see I'm kind of pulling it back a little bit just to get some ink down in those little scallops. That gives it a little more dimension. Now I'm going to take the Lucky Clover Distress Ink, and I'm going to go around each of those trees and just give those a little bit more dimension as well. Like I say, you could die cut these in white and color them in. Sometimes I just like to make it easier and use the colored paper, and it sort of gives it a little bit more of a whimsical look. And I'm cutting off the trunk part of the trees because that's not going to be shown anyway, and it will be easier to tuck them right into my snowbanks. So there you can see, you get a little bit of a shadow, and you can see that texture of that paper is really pretty as well. Now I'm going to go around the wreath in the same way and just take away that little bit of white edge, give it a little bit of dimension. Now with the Fossilized Amber, I'm going to go ahead and do the back part of the windows, so it'll look like the lights are on in the little house. And I'm just going to sponge that on. And with the Distress Ink, it's just so easy to get it to blend and move around easily on the paper. And then I'm going to be layering the frame of the window over top of that. Now I want to put the roof on, so I'm going to take my Nuvo glue and I'm going to put adhesive, and you can see I made a little mistake there because I don't want adhesive right at the very bottom of the scallop because that is going to hang over the card a bit. And you'll see in a minute that I didn't want any adhesive there at the very bottom. So when you open the card, you see that some of that scallop does show. And there's a little bit of white because the roof angles a bit, so I'm just taking off those little pieces there at the sides, very small amount. And then I'm going to take my sponge ink and go around the edges again just to finish that off a little bit. Now what I want to do is I want to put the white frames onto the window backings and get those all attached. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue to each of those and get those assembled. Once you get everything cut and organized, it goes pretty quickly. And you could do this, making multiples. Just die cut everything all up front and then start your assembly, if you have to make a few of these. Now I'm just testing to see where I want those snowbanks to fall up against the door there. And I think instead of the 4, I think 3 is going to work out just fine. So I'm going to just trim that one down. And that looks pretty good there. And I love that stitched border on it. Just everything is just so whimsical. Just playing around with those a little bit more just to see what I like and where I want those to be. And you can see off to the right there, I have those EK Success tweezers, and they're great because when you squeeze them and release, they pinch something closed. So it's kind of holding the flap down while I continue to work. It just makes things a lot easier. It's like having a second pair of hands. I actually have a couple of these tweezers and I use them all the time. I'm just going to get all the windows lined up there and get everything attached. And again, use enough adhesive because this will be getting handled quite a bit, being opened and closed. I'm just making sure that that door is positioned properly again and lined up with the window above it. And I'm going to line up the window next to the door in line, the tops in line with each other. Now I'm just going to try to figure out the placement of the trees. I want one on either side of the door, but I don't want to block the door, so I'm going to have just a part of one. So I'm just going to put adhesive along that one side of the tree there, and then I'm going to snip away the excess in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the other tree. And this is really a matter of what you like and what you prefer and how many trees you want. It's all a matter of taste. So, have fun with this. Now I'm going to attach the largest snowbank, and I'm going to use my score tape. And I don't want to put any at the very top of the snowbank just because I'm going to be tucking some trees in there and I want to leave some space for all of that. So I left that space at the top blank. And now that that tree is dry there, I'm going to go ahead and cut away that excess. And I just want to see where the next tree is going to go, and I think that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that. I just put a little glue at the bottom of the tree, and then I'm going to see where it attaches to that window, and I'm going to put a little dab of glue right behind there because it is getting layered up now, so I kind of wanted it to lay as flat as it could without being creased at all. And now I'm going to put the next snowbank on. Again, you can see I'm not putting any adhesive at the top there. And I am cutting it with my scissors. This is really easy to tear, this tape, but I wanted to go end to end just to make sure that it stayed secure on the sides of the gift card holder. So I did use my scissors to cut it nice and square at the end there, but it's not totally necessary. Now I'm taking my Scotch photo mounting tape, and I'm just putting some little tiny pieces on there to pop that wreath up. You just cut this to whatever size you need. And that'll give that wreath just a little bit of dimension at the door there. And it looks so cute. I just love that. So now you can see the dimension, and I'm going to go ahead now and attach all my little red bows. Well, I'm going to try to attach my little red bows. They are so tiny. They're hard to hang on to, but I'm going to put one on the wreath, and then thought I'd put one in the center of each of those windows there, just for a little bit more color. I felt like it needed a little bit more color there. Now you could put wreaths in all the windows as well. I mean, you know, like I say, have some fun with this. So now I thought what I would do is put a saying down at the bottom. So this is from the Happy, Happy, Happy add-on set from Lawn Fawn. We're going to be using the word Merry and Christmas on the front, but I'm going to die cut the Merry and stamp the Christmas. So I'm going to take that little last snowbank, which I haven't attached yet, and I'm going to put it in my Misty, just so that when I stamp Christmas, I just want to make sure that it's nice and centered and a nice crisp dark red. And it's a good thing I did, because it took me, like, I forget, 3 or 4 tries to actually get this to stamp perfectly, or with enough ink, I should say. So I'm going to use the Stays On Black Cherry ink. This is a beautiful color, deep, deep red. I like the dark reds personally. I just think they're a little bit richer tone, and that one is really pretty. So you can see there, like, it didn't really totally stamp it. So thank God for my Misty, because I'm going to go do it again. And then I think, yeah, I actually end up doing it one more time. And now you can see it's a nice, beautiful red. And that's going to go right down here at the bottom. And you can see it's nice and centered. So again, I'm going to take my score tape, and I'm going to make sure I go end to end, and as close to the bottom as I can, again, so that it really stays attached down there at the bottom and right to the end there. Now I'm going to get that attached. Just line that up perfectly with the bottom edge. Okay, so that looks pretty good so far. So the next thing I want to do is die cut the word Merry. So it'll say Merry Christmas, and I'm using the Lawn Fawn coordinating dies with the Happy, Happy, Happy set. So I want to die cut this out of some heavyweight white cardstock, and also the red paper that we used previously from the Lawn Fawn paper. So I'm going to do the top one will be the red. I'm going to go ahead and die cut that. And then I also want to die cut 3 or 4 more of them out of some white heavyweight cardstock, 3 or 4. That's up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and run those through my die cut machine. Now I'm going to use my Nuvo glue, and I'm just going to start attaching those together. And you just kind of want to play around with them. Using your glue makes it easier to just kind of slide them into place till you get it right where you want it. I use little tiny dots of glue just because I find it easier to control if I just do little tiny dots of it, and you can get it into some small areas that way. And then I'm going to put so I think I did three of them, and then I'm going to put the the red paper on the very top. And you can see the sides are a little bit white. I'm just going to go back with that red ink and I'm going to sponge a little bit around. But I kind of like some of the white showing. So I didn't fuss with, it totally. I just kind of gave it a little softness, and then it gives a little shadow around the Mary. And then I left it that way and just attached it again with the Nuvo glue right to the front of the card. And then I'm just placing an acrylic block on it just while it dries. So it's all set now, and I'm coming in with my Wink of Stella clear, and I'm going to just give a little bit of glimmer or glitter to those windows. I don't know if you can see that here, but there's a little bit of sparkle there. Just makes it a little more festive. And then I decided that the trees also need a little bit of glimmer. It just needed a little more sparkle, but I don't know, I love sparkle, so I'll add it. Any excuse I can find to add it is basically what I will do. So I'm just adding a little touch of it to the wreath and to the trees there. So that's looking pretty good. Now I thought that I'd like to highlight with the Jelly Roll pen in the white, and I love this white pen the best. It just always works, and it gives a nice bright white texture. And I'm going to just kind of go around and highlight the areas of those letters just to give it a little more dimension and make it stand out a little bit more. Don't be fussy about where you put it. Just put it down where you feel like it gives a little highlight. And then I wanted to do a little bit on the roof as well, just to give the illusion of a little bit of a snowy effect and a little highlight on the tops of those on the bottoms of those scallops. And again, it just makes everything pop a little bit more. I'll tell you, the white gel pen, you can't do enough with that. Now, you're going to see at the top, I want to get a saying up there at the very top underneath the roof. So I'm going to use the Winter Village stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to use that saying, "From our home to yours." And I'm going to cut, I want to split it in two, so I'm going to cut it from our home and then to yours separately. So I can do it on two separate lines. Going back to that black cherry ink, and I'm going to ink that up and stamp it up there at the very top. I used to think, oh gosh, anyone who cut stamps like that, that just was not right. But I have since come to find that it's okay, and it actually fits your needs a lot better if you cut them to fit the project. And as long as you keep track of them and put them back in the case properly, you have no problems at all. So I've been doing a lot more of it, and I thought I would never have done that. So now you can see that the saying is right there. As you open the flap, you see "From our home to yours," and the gift card is going to fit right down there at the bottom. So everything looks in place. I decided to go back with my white gel pen and add a little bit of white to the to the trees and to the wreath, just to give it a little highlight. Not necessarily a full snowy effect, but just a little hint of it. Now I'm using my Nuvo drops in the white, and I'm going to add a little bit of that to the center of each of those bows. You can see I made a little mistake there, and I keep my tweezers on hand because the Nuvo, if you get at it right away and just give it a little nudge, it'll come right off the paper, and sometimes you could just move it back into place. I'm using the red Nuvo, and I'm going to add a few little berries to the around the wreath there. The new bow I'm using, and there again you can see me nudging it a little bit with the tweezers. It got a little pointy at the top. Just take your tweezers and just press it down, make a little circular motion, and it'll go right back into place. It's very easy to deal with. Now we have the gift card holder all set, the gift card in there, and I wanted to have that flap being held down so that it's not popping up when they first, when the recipient first receives it. So what I'm going to do is just take my tweezers again, and you can see how they clamp down so nicely. And I'm going to take some baker's twine. I'm going to actually just cut a piece of that so that I can tie a little bow up there at the top. And that will be basically the little holder that keeps the flap down. And you can see here I'm using those tweezers again as an extra hand to help me out in holding that in place while I tie my bow, because these little bows sometimes are very difficult to get. And that little extra helper is all you need sometimes. I'm going to get that bow on there, and then I'm just going to trim that down with my scissors to the size that I want. Just kind of fussing and adjusting that. So you see how easy that is to slide on and off. So I hope you had fun today. I had fun making this. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.